by mail ballots 9 days prior to the date of the election. They can write a note, because sometimes people end up in hospitals or have emergencies, and they can have someone pick up their ballot, as long as they have a written note and we match that signature, the signature that we have on file at the elections office. Is there anything about vote by mail that that anybody would like to talk about? Can I open it to questions?
Yeah, I think now would be a good time if anybody does have any questions.
Okay. So somebody here, Dale Prey, she said she wanted to know how much the postage is needed for ballots, and the postage is free. Okay. The postage, we have, the good thing about that is I'm sending out 35,000 ballots, okay, about that, but before the election's over with. And I only pay for the ballots that come back. So if somebody has a ballot and they didn't send it back, maybe they took the ballot and went to early voting or voted at your precinct for election day, we don't have to pay for that. So that's good. It's a certain kind of mailing account that you set up. It's called a Bramus account. And somebody said here, why do you think certain people are so against vote by mail ballot? I think they're so against it because they don't understand the process. I have been working diligently on securing your vote in Citrus County for many years. I handle the vote by mail process. Now, I won't for this election because I won't be there for much longer before I have to, before I'm retiring. But the process is set in place, okay? And the envelopes are opened in front of all the canvassing board and all the workers, and the ballots are removed from the envelope in the secrecy sleeve. Then the envelopes are put away, and then we take the ballots out, we flatten them, and then we take them to the tabulation room and run them through the high-speed scanner, and we count all the ballots. I think a lot of people just don't know how it works. If they were to come in our office and they see our processes, they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know this is what you did. And, vote by mail and all the processes that happen at the elections office, they're open to the public. Anytime that you would ever want to attend something at the elections office, all you have to do is show up. All our canvassing meetings are listed under the legal ads on our website, and under the canvassing of the election, under the candidates and committees. We have our website's www.votecitrus.com. Let's see.
Test.
I actually have a couple questions.
Okay,
what you just said, though, I think it would be really cool if you guys actually invite some of the high schoolers to come out, especially seniors, because like a lot of, you guys know they're 17 and 18 years old, and a lot of them don't know how this stuff works. They don't teach this stuff in school. So I think that would be really interesting that, invite some, high school kids to go check out the office.
Right. And that's a really good idea. We usually have some sort of tours and stuff that go on during the year, but of course, because there was no school, we didn't have that.
Right.
One of the biggest things that we do, Candace, is in every high school, in every senior class, we go in and we do a presentation. We register them. We tell them how to get ballots when they're going away to college or in the service, or if they're moving, how they can do a vote by mail ballot, or what it's like to go to the polling precinct. We do a whole video presentation to them. And in fact, we pulled that presentation out today. Susan did a big article in the paper about what the students could do this year. But yes, to have them come in and actually do hands-on, we like to give them all tours because they have no idea. They think that we're just like an office, and we are an office. Don't get me wrong, we are administration. Everybody is like managing over a department, but mostly we're warehouse. Everything in our warehouse. We have shelves for each one of the polling precincts. We have carts for the precincts. We have everything's lined up of all the voting equipment we have and all the electronic poll books we use. So I think that's a good idea to have those folks come in and see that, because if I can spark their interest, we can get them to help. We can help them, get them to volunteer. And on our volunteer program, we do a lot of the kids that do hours for what's it called? for college. They have to do hours, or they have to do community service hours for college.
Like the IB
The
program?
Bright Futures, yeah, the Bright Futures program. We do all volunteer hours for the Bright Futures because we have many of the county events, and we usually involve them there. So, but yeah, that touring is a good idea.
So Mark mentioned something about Scott Adams saying something about voting fraud. And, you know, that is a really big question that I think a lot of people do talk about, especially with mail-in ballots.
Sure.
My question for you is, has Citrus County had any voting fraud? And if so, what did you guys do to prevent that? And what are you doing in the future, you know, to make sure to look out for stuff like that?
Well, and you know, that's a really good question. No, as far as voter fraud, no, I have not had any voter fraud that I've had to deal with in Citrus County, where somebody has come in and voted here and voted there. I have not had that. But here's a couple of reasons of things we do. Okay, we are really big on cybersecurity. Okay, we do threat assessments to find out where our threats are. Okay. We have employee training and constant training and awareness on cybersecurity. We have vulnerability assessments to find out where am I weak in this organization, okay? We have incident responses in place. CISA and the Department of Homeland Security, which is cyber and infrastructure on elections. These folks watch and help recoup if any organization is penetrated. We have a constant 24/7 monitoring of our network. It's called the Albert server. It's something that the Department of Homeland Security and the Division of Elections came up with, and they allowed us, and they paid for our servers to be upgraded to Albert server. There are cybersecurity specialists in place in Florida. We have one that's specifically for just Citrus County. We have them on the vendor level and the county level. The Department of Homeland Security situation room is where they open that up to discuss nothing but cybersecurity and share information on elections. Now, that's what we do in the background. What do we do up front? Okay. A few years back, our county works on street segments like 100 to 500 West Main Street. So that's 500 numbers, right? House numbers that people could register, but there's only 3 houses. So a few years back, and it was a very long process, but we got it done. And I headed up that program. I went from segments to house numbers, and I put a house number on the rooftop of every home in Citrus County. So now the only address on West Main Street, of course, I'm just using that number, you can register it, is at those 3 households, okay? Now, as soon as you register, your application is going to the state, and it's being banged off the Driver's License Bureau, the Social Security Administration, okay, the Florida Death File, okay, and then after it passes everything, then it comes back to us and it gets in our queue and we can register you to vote. Now, if you come back with one of those house numbers, okay, let's say you got that far, and then we're required to mail you a voter ID card by first class mail with return service requested. When we do that, that post office can't deliver that to that address unless that person lives there. And if this is a fictitious address or a person trying to register that shouldn't be, it's not going to make its way. And we immediately put it into the list maintenance process to inactivate that voter. So we're working every day on things. I don't know of any fraud. And neither does Mr. Adams, okay? He's mentioning that because he has nothing else to mention. Okay, and I'm not trying to be facetious about that, but what else can he say? Okay, you can say fraud all day long because you can't really prove that there is or there isn't. I know there isn't because I work in that organization. I know the steps we take. I know the steps we take that I can talk about. There are steps we take that we can't talk about because we are under the Department of Homeland Security. We also have our own FBI agent to administer and be under elections with us. And there's some things that we have done that you can't infiltrate our system and that we can't talk about. Okay. But as far as the fraud and individual elections, this is the one thing that happens every election. It happens once. Okay. Somebody will come in and they'll go to vote, right? They'll go to vote earlier election day. And they'll say, I'm sorry, you voted. And they'll say, what do you mean? I already voted. I didn't vote. That person, I will get that person on the phone. I will look them up, and they would have voted by mail 4 weeks before that. They think it's a new election. So I have them come to my office. I show them the vote by mail stuff that was submitted. Did you do that? Oh, yeah, I did do that. Is this the same election? Yes, it's the same election. It's because there's such a big span between the time that you can vote by mail and election day comes. My ballots are going out on July 2nd, and the election is August the 18th. Okay, that's a long period of time. So that happens, but that's not fraud. This person really would think that. Okay, so
there was one more question that somebody had asked, so I think that will be our last one, and then we'll wrap everything up.
Okay. And what is that?
Hello there, Maureen.
Hi.
Hi.
It was from Mary. I'm sorry, I can't read it and
chat. Can I read it?
Chat, I think at the same time. Yeah.
Okay. It says, Baird, you mentioned that you were retiring. Can you explain why you are retiring and running for SOE at the same time? Why you are retiring and running at the same time? Well, I'm retiring not because I have to. I don't have to retire except, and very few people will ever be in the same predicament that I'm in. I have maxed out my retirement with, I have worked 30 years, and then I've worked 5 years in the drop program, and the Florida retirement system says when you're in, after you leave, after you get in drop, you can stay for 5 years. Well, my 5 years is almost up, so I have to leave. And then I would come back in January when I take office, if I win the seat. That was from Mary. Are you there, Mary? Who's Mary?
Mary Hedges.
Okay.
Unmute, Mary.
No, I was just trying to understand how that works. So now you explained it.
Yeah. There is a resign to run law out there. And the resign to run is people who are in authority over you. Like if my boss, if Susan Gill was running and I wanted to run, then I would have to resign to run. But Susan is retiring, so I can run. Same thing in the sheriff's office, just like that thing that happened recently at the sheriff's office. The sheriff is running, and then he had a deputy running, but the deputy was running for another seat in another office, so it didn't conflict, because you can't run in an office where somebody has authority over you, and they're running too. Does that explain?
You must really love your job, huh?
I'm sorry?
You must really love your job.
I do love my job. I've always loved my job.
Good.
I've always loved elections. Elections is something that I just really feel like I can give back to the community. Just to know that our elections are fair and honest, and that there's integrity in our elections. Some people think this is a position of power. It's not. It's a position of responsibility, and it's a grand responsibility that whoever takes it is taking on. And whoever wins is going to take on a grand responsibility. I spend 40 to 60 hours a week in that office, and I have since 1985.
Wow. And
I would love the opportunity to continue to do so. I have something else here. It says the League of Women Voters also made presentations in schools before COVID-19. Does the SOE have any plans on doing online tours with students and the general public? Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. At this point, they are election gung right now. So I can't tell you that they would be doing it right at this moment, because we are right in the midst of elections, but they're all set for elections. When I walk out that door, I have planned everything for the primary and general election. I finished the general election ballot order today. And so everything's ready to go. So I'm sure as things change with COVID, and if things stay shut down, a lot of things will be changing, and these Zoom meetings and everything. And I think the kids love this kind of stuff, so that would be an option.
How are your questions?
All right.
All right, we'll do one more question and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. Well, let's see. I think there's a few questions here after me.
Okay, we have 30 minutes. I don't know if maybe we can.
It said unlimited, didn't it?
Anyways, Maureen.
Yes, sir.
In the event, the unfortunate event that we get a malignant narcissist as supervisor of elections, okay, what are the guardrails in place to what guardrails are there in place and safeguards to keep a narcissistic personality from driving the staff out and hiring its own favorite staff?
That's why we need to get the word out, okay? We're voting on August 18th, and you will put 2 commissioners and a supervisor of elections in place that day. And whatever we get, that's who you're getting, okay? We have many reports due to the state, okay? We have many reports that are due. We have deadlines, constant deadlines. We have the Division of Elections is always checking on what we're doing. When we have elections, we have to certify them. When we have right now we have all the stuff from the presidential preference primary. We have all the ballots. We have everything. We have an archival value on everything. What you could do after an election, if you is you could do a public records request for some of the information that you think might not be correct. Okay, that's one of the things you could do. You have a lot of, like I said, it's a position of responsibility. And some people take it for a position of power. And it's really important. And I think it's not only important to you folks here today, but it's important to everyone that I speak to, that we keep the integrity in the election, that we keep it fair and honest. Is there perfect elections? Never. Never. If you would see some of the stuff that we get back with vote by mail ballots, you'll understand why we have a canvassing board and why decisions have to be made. But are they fair and honest? Always, always fair and honest. I get ballots back in the envelopes that were from 3 elections ago. I don't get that, so the ballot count isn't the same that came in that went out. Of course not, because I have an error log, and the error log has that ballot on, say I got one ballot from another election, and here's the ballot, okay? So is it fair and honest? It is so fair and honest the way it's ran now. I couldn't be more proud. Even if I wasn't running for elections, I could not be more proud of the legacy that I have left behind, and the honesty and the integrity that has been in every election, in all 80 elections that I have managed over. I never have one question about anything that has ever gone on in there in the elections office. And my job as operations manager, and is as my operator, is I oversee the processes. I oversee what goes on. I know what goes on, and that's my job to take care of that. We take care of any voter fraud that could possibly happen, because in the office we have a 2-man processes, especially with vote by mail ballots. And they go right to our post office box in Lecanto. That's another something we did. When we moved to Crystal River, I did not take the Crystal River post office box because I could, and I didn't want the mail delivered through Crystal River because the post office is on the water. Okay. And if there was what I always say, number one thing, we have all elections in hurricane season, all of them. Okay. And there's always an election day that it pours rain in half the week. Okay. So I didn't want stuff going through the Crystal River post office. So nothing has our physical address on it. Everything goes through the Lecanto post office, where there are 2 postmasters, and one of them is trained in Marion County doing vote by mail ballots. And they oversee and they pull all of our vote by mail ballots, and every single day, and they make sure everything is in our queue by 10:30 every day. And so we send 2 people to the post office, 2 full-time staff members to the post office to pick up that mail every day and bring it back to the elections office.
Linda had a question.
Yeah, actually, kind of common questions. Going back to vote by mail and the complaints in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. I'm on the board of the league, and we made a kind of informal act, but we need help. every day, like today,
Okay.
when someone sends in a letter saying, there'll be fraud, we're trying to respond
Okay.
with a letter or a call.
Okay.
And Susan gave us some, answers that you
That's
could
right.
package. But it's kind of draining. I mean, it'd be great if other people, just call in and refute that. The other thing, back to the younger people, I thought that Patrick was going to do something in Crystal River for the youngsters, or maybe on Zoom, but I thought not. And when they had the Black Lives Matter in Inverness,
Right.
and the youngsters from Inverness were pretty active in it. I don't know if
Mhm.
Candace is in that category. I don't think so. I asked one of the girls, Langley, if they would like the league or your office to,
Right.
to meet with them. That they haven't gotten back to me, but one could
Okay.
formalize that.
Oh, sure. We would be glad to do whatever you needed. Patrick loves to do outreach. He's our favorite outreach person. And
Yeah.
so, yes. Is that what is?
I think that's what I was had in mind.
Okay.
Love help with letter writing.
There we go. Well, anybody else have anything? No. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that. Candace, thank you. If there's anything I can do or anything that you need to know, you can always pick up the phone, call me. Please vote on August 18th. All these elections are going to be decided right then, okay? And then you're going to have and the biggest thing you can do for me is to get out the word if you believe in me. If you don't, okay, I accept that as well. But if you do, and we would love to keep our elections going the way they've been going in Citrus County. We run great elections here, and we would like to keep it that way. We are known throughout the state for our election processes. When I do vote by mail canvassing, when I do any big election procedure, the state will come down to watch my process, and they send all the new people to Citrus County to watch our processes because of the way that it's ran. Okay, and then they send them to other counties to make sure that they're following these processes. So anyway, thank you, Vote Maureen Mo Baird, August 18, 2020. Thank you so much. Candace,
Thank
you for having
you.
me. I appreciate
Thank you.
y'all. All right,
Thank you guys for all
right.
coming.
All right, bye-bye.
Having meet the candidates, a bunch of them.
Do what?
Be having more meet the candidates.
Yes,
We're gonna try to do more of these kind of things too, with groups like this, and I think we have another one, Dale, if I'm not mistaken, July 5th.
I'm not sure of the date, but yeah, it's coming right up next week. Yeah.
Yeah, Candace, I'm going to go ahead and get off so you can have your meeting, okay?
Okay.
Thanks,
All right.
Mo.
Have a good one.
Okay.
Call
Thank
me,
you.
Mo.
I appreciate
Mo.
you. All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm going to set up an event. Now that we got this one out of the way, I'm going to set up a new event for the upcoming one, and with Holly. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.